Planet Vero Studios, brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Cindy Grossman. New York City born and raised, luxury retail management was her game. Saks Fifth Avenue and Nordstrom were her jewelry playgrounds. Had enough at 38, fled to Miami, where Neiman Marcus Bal Harbour found her. Recruited to Mont Blanc, where her regional position challenged her. Met her husband 4 years ago, and Brevard County she did go. COVID hit, she needed a new career fit. Age-defying beauty with Mary Kay, she did say. And now, here's Cindy Grossman.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Mesmerize the Mirror at Any Age. Mitch, thanks for coming back and keeping me company.
Thank you for inviting me.
Jesse, thanks for keeping us in line.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
Today we have a special show. I'm greatly honored. We have Admiral Hart on our show today. Admiral Hart resides in Vero Beach with his wife, Carolyn. Admiral Hart spent 33 years in the U.S. Navy and another 5 years with the U.S. Africa Command as a deputy director. During his Navy career, he deployed on 8 aircraft carriers and was assigned to 6 squadrons. He commanded at the Squadron Air Wing and Joint Forces at Joint Force levels. As a naval flight officer, he participated in the Cold War, Bosnia, Kosovo, and Iraq conflicts. In retirement, Admiral Hart joined the board of the Space Coast Honor Flight, where he serves as the president of the Space Coast Honor Flight, which is dedicated to taking World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, and Vietnam veterans to Washington, D.C. to see their memorials. Thank you so much, Admiral, for coming on. We really appreciate, and I feel truly honored to have you on and to talk about the wonderful honor flight and your career in the Navy and other things you've done. What can you tell us? I mean, I think a lot of people, this is an important question. What can you tell us about your experience in the military?
Well, you know, it's interesting because when I went in the military, it was 1975, and we were just coming through all those gas prices, how they increased, and nobody getting out of college was getting any kind of jobs. And I had started flying at an early age in high school, so I had an interest in being an airline pilot, but there was no way to get any jobs at the time. So I stopped at the campus student union there, and there was some recruiters in there. So I went in and started talking to them, and they said, "Why don't you take this test?" and so forth. And I took the test, and my eyesight wasn't good enough to be a pilot in the Navy at the time, but it was good enough to be a naval flight officer. So I signed up as a naval flight officer, and I thought I'd do it for a couple of years and then move on and become an airline pilot, but I ended up really liking it, and so I stayed. And it's been very, very gratifying through all the years.
Yeah, you saw a lot of things happen in the world.
Yeah, we went to a lot of places. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. You didn't really start that as your career. It just kind of worked out.
Yeah, no,
I
went to Middle Tennessee State University, and I did not go to the Naval Academy. I wasn't thinking about necessarily being in the military until I was about to graduate, and I was looking around for something to do that would enhance my interest in flying, and this fit the bill.
Interesting.
And once I got in, then it became very, very much something I wanted to do and have a career, and it turned out pretty well. So I was happy for all the time I spent there.
That's amazing. Now, we're curious. How did you come to Vero Beach?
Okay, so when I retired from the Navy, I was a commander of a joint task force in East Africa. And the president at the time, Bush, was standing up a new command to look after security issues in Africa. So the commander, the prospective commander, came down see what we were doing, and I got to know him, and he asked me to come work for him. So I retired, and I ended up going to Stuttgart, Germany, and spending 5 years, and I ended up traveling all over Africa. And so when I got back, to answer your question, from 5 years over there, my stepson John, his father lived here in Vero Beach. His father passed away, and John was the only real heir. So my wife and I came down to help John with the estate and all that kind of thing. So that's how I got here. And once I got down here and I saw Vero, I said to Lynn, I said, we live in Maryland, and I'm going to have to become a Maryland citizen and pay taxes and all that. I said, but I'm a Florida resident. I've always been a Florida resident.
Oh, okay.
A lot of my time was in Florida. So we bought a small place out at Sea Oaks, up on A1A. And that led to a few years later deciding that we wanted to move here permanently.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to live, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Can you tell us about the Space Coast Honor Flight?
Sure.
As the president, you're very involved.
Space Coast Honor Flight is one hub of 124 hubs that are across the country. So there's 124 organizations like the one that I'm the president of across the country. We have 10 here in Florida because Florida has the third highest amount of veterans of any state. I think California's first, Texas is second, we're third. So we have 10 hubs here, and they're all nonprofit 501c3s. And Space Coast Honor Flight has been around since 2010. So when we finished our 2022 season, that completed our 70th flight. We've made 70 flights to Washington, D.C. We've taken 1,801 veterans. So,
wonderful.
So we're going to do 6 flights this year. We're going to take 30 veterans on each flight, and each one will have a guardian. That's a person that we pair up with the veteran. They stay together as buddies, like all day long, and then we have about 10 staff that goes on the trip as well. So every flight's about 70 people. So it's a big operation, moving people around and all that kind of thing.
Right. Is it a private flight? Are you?
No, what we do is we use Southwest Airlines.
Okay.
They're one of the Honor Flight partners. So we will meet in Melbourne at Wickham Park Senior Center. We'll have a departure ceremony there. We'll get on 2 buses and we'll go to Orlando, and we'll get on a Southwest flight, fly to BWI, and we'll bus down into the city. We'll spend, depending on the airline schedules, 10 and a half to 12 hours on the ground. And we hit as many places as we can. But we always go to, usually we go to the U.S. Air Force Memorial. We go down on the Mall. We do World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Then we go to Arlington Cemetery. And on the way in, we stop at the Military Women's Memorial, which is right at the base of Arlington Cemetery. And if we have any women with us, we register them in the memorial's database. They have a database that they try to keep track of as many women veterans as they can. So we have a little ceremony there for any of the women that are with us that are veterans, and then we go up and we see changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. About twice a year, we lay a wreath at the tomb, and then we go to Iwo Jima Memorial, and then we head back to BWI.
Amazing.
So it's a fast day, and it goes by really quickly.
Yeah, that sounds it. I'm sorry to say that before today, I didn't know about the Women's Memorial, and I've been to Washington, D.C. quite often. So it's certainly something that I will.
They just renovated it over the last year or so. So it's all up to speed. And I mean, when you go in there, they have everything. They have a small amount about what women did in the Revolution and the Civil War, but they really start right with World War I and they take you all the way through to what's going on today. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing figures of women in the military today.
Right.
Let's take a break, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that when we get back. Thank
Okay,
you.
sure.
Thank you so much.
Need an enlightening pick-me-up? Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinergy to energize your skin and keep it looking fabulous forever. Kristen can help with hair removal, sugaring to keep your whole body smooth and conditioned. Kristen will help you refresh and defend your skin while giving you a customized facial. Cindy helps skinergize and get you camera ready for your everyday look or special occasion. Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinergy. Find them on Facebook under the Skinergy Squad.
Sunshine Furniture brightens up your day.
At Sunshine Furniture, we've been the outdoor furniture experts for over 30 years and carry the largest selection of patio furniture, all made in America. Hundreds of styles, colors, and fabrics to choose from in outdoor wicker, aluminum, and recycled plastic from Lloyd Flanders, Polywood, Berlin Gardens, O.W. Lee, Windward, Woodard, Telescope, and others, all made to withstand our Florida climate, in stock and ready for you to enjoy. Right now, we're having a spring sale on selected groups, and also all pictures, lamps, and accessories are half price. We also specialize in replacement cushions, umbrellas, beach chairs, outdoor rugs, and fire pits. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 Vero Beach, next to Planet Fitness. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Have a sunshine day. Sunshine.
Enjoy exciting live theater at Riverside. Don't miss David Mamet's Oleana, a two-character play that showcases the power dynamics between a college professor and one of his female students. Carol is struggling in John's class. He understands her frustrations and is willing to give her an A if she returns to his office a few more times. Carol files a harassment report, leaving John shocked. Is John a predator or is Carol mistaken? Don't miss David Mamet's Oleana, now through April 9th at Riverside Theater. Get tickets at riversidetheater.com.
The law offices of Goldman, Monahan, Tucker, and Bettine is here to help you with your personal legal challenges, business needs, and real estate matters. Since 1984, we have assisted countless numbers of Florida individuals and businesses with their legal issues, from trusts and estates, wills, real estate, and civil or criminal litigation. We pride ourselves on maintaining lifelong client relationships and would appreciate the opportunity to assist you and your family as well. Please call 321-639-1320 for further information on the law offices of Goldman, Monahan, Tucker, and Bettine. I'm a non-attorney spokesman.
And we are back with Admiral Hart talking about honor flight. Now, before we ended for our break, we started talking about the women and women in military. Now, can you give us a number of how many women have been on the honor flight?
I don't know that number off the top of my head. I know that nationally we've taken over 250,000 vets to Washington, D.C. since honor flight started in about 2006. We've taken on our flights 62 women. So, and they're a combination of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam veterans. Yeah. So,
I understand from one of your other members of your organization that you had one flight where you kind of put, I think half the flight was women. That was the focus.
Right. Because of some constraints on us being able to get around, we picked a flight last June that we had 12 hours on the ground, and we took 14 women veterans. Some of them were actually the veterans, some were guardians, and some were staff. And we got them all registered into the memorial.
So that was about half. You usually said you take about 30. So.
Yeah, and some of that was staff and guardians. So I think it was 8 actual women veterans. But we've taken just to give you a feel. We took a woman back in the very beginning. She went into Normandy on the 6th day. She was a nurse, and she went from Normandy all the way almost to Berlin, in her experiences. We took a lady from Vero. She's passed away now. She She went into the Army Air Corps, and she was a mathematician by trade. So the Air Force gave her the assignment of scoring bomb hits in training. So she was sent out to New Mexico, and Jerry decided whether you were going to go overseas as a bombardier navigator or not, because she graded all the scores, at least for the squadrons that went through New Mexico.
Wow.
Just one last quick one. We took a lady up to the memorial, and her family came and met her at the Women's Memorial. So we had these great pictures of her and her family. And got to talking to her, and she says, yes, I went in the Navy. They made me a nurse, and I went to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, the hospital there. And she said, then they found out that I was actually a trained draftsman. And they sent me to the Naval Research Labs, and she worked on and drew blueprints and sketches for radar. That's what she did during World War II. Wow. It's just amazing, some of these people you get to meet, you know, and find out about what they did in their lives.
Did you ever find that anybody on the flight that you served? Well, no, you're too young. So
there was a guy on our November flight. The very first squadron I was in was VS-28.
Okay.
Now he's 25 years older than me, but he was one of the initial people when they stood that squadron up. He was in there. So when I was going through his military history, I said, VS-28. So I went at the orientation, and sure enough, he'd been in that squadron. I was in it 25 years later or something, something like that. But that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Now, guardians, they can be male or female?
Male or female. Well, we need people who can push a wheelchair around for the entire day. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're gonna cover some ground, and some of the veterans we take absolutely need to be in wheelchairs. And we have all of our buses have lifts, so we can make that all happen. And We've had veterans that are blind. We've had veterans that are double amputees. You know, so the guardians need to be able to handle that. They also need to be under the age of 70. So 71 is like the cutoff. And we on every flight we have an EMT, volunteer from Brevard County's Fire and Rescue, and we have a volunteer doctor that comes. So every flight we have a doctor and EMT. We have to take oxygen. We have a lot of things like that we have to make sure, because we've had veterans that are over 100 that have gone with us, you know, and you just got to make sure that they're going to be okay.
Right. Now, what does it cost for an honor flight to go out?
Our honor flights are we're running right around $30,000 a flight.
Okay.
So, you know, we do 6 flights a year. So luckily we have a lot of wonderful sponsors, both corporate, small businesses, and private individuals that donate money to us.
Now, if somebody does volunteer as a guardian who's, you know, a civilian, do they have to pay? Are there fees?
What we do, we ask the guardians to contribute as a donation $400 towards offsetting the cost of their flight. Okay. And we've had that same price since 2010. And that's partly how we do that.
Right. So try to subsidize the monies. But otherwise, everything is from donations.
Yes. We've looked 97 cents out of every dollar raised goes to the trip. The other 3 cents is admin.
Right.
You know.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And there's no charge for the honorees.
No charge for the veterans. No, not at all. You know, if people are interested, they can go on our website. Just put Space Coast Honor Flight in there, and we'll come up. We have a website that has applications for veterans, for guardians, for volunteers. You can make a donation on there. You can see what we're all about. I also have. I can leave some of these with you. This is a little trifold here that explains who we are, what we do, and that kind of thing.
Now, when you do the honor flights, is it you alone going, or do you sometimes see other honor flights from different parts of the country?
No, there's lots of honor flights. On 22 April, I know the one from Jacksonville's going, and we're going. There'll probably be, at that time of year, could be up to 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to U.S. Air Force Memorial one time, and we got, our buses got gridlocked because there were so many buses, not just from Honor Flight, from other organizations. So it can get crowded.
Right. So the best thing for people to do is to go to the website. They can volunteer. They can make donations.
They can sign up to be a guardian. Yeah, you just have to go on there and look. There's a place where it says applications, and you open that up, and there's volunteer, veteran, and guardian there.
Are you actively fundraising? Do you have fundraising events?
We do. We do every 2 years, we do a major fundraising event at the American Muscle Car Museum in Melbourne.
Right.
It's a private museum, and the owner is generous enough that we get to be one of his 7 events on the year that we want to do that.
We've been there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very impressive. Mark Bylock, we were just up there. He's expanded his maintenance facilities, which is a big tour item. And he's added, I think he's up to over 400 cars.
Amazing.
And this year, for our VIPs, those that pay a little extra, he's going to have a 1960s, 1970, and an 80 car that you can get rides in.
Oh.
So he's going to have these muscle cars from 3 generations.
Very nice.
That you can go on rides with, yeah.
Very nice. Oh. And that's coming up when?
28 October.
Okay.
So it's not that far away.
Right.
In the fall.
Yeah, but as it's getting closer, please let us know. We can certainly promote it.
We just started printing out all the flyers, and we're starting to contact sponsors. We have a lot of good corporate people that help us.
Right.
But we're always in need of more. It takes a lot to run this organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And volunteers. You're always looking for
volunteers. Yeah.
Right. And it's a wonderful cause. Really wonderful. So, and I'm sure there are still veterans in the area that possibly are not familiar with this. And so if anybody knows a veteran from...
We find that out a lot. We go on a speaking circuit tomorrow at an assisted living called The Blake up in a Melbourne area. 2 of my board members are going there to speak to the folks. And a lot of assisted livings facilities will contact us because they have veterans. And, that's how we picked up the 98-year-old lady we took last year.
Amazing. That's great. I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing all the information with us. And please, if you do know a veteran, you should contact them and honor them the way they should be honored. And if you're interested in volunteering, I know I feel a need that I would really love to go.
I think we're going to be going.
Yes, I would really love to go.
But after that.
April's full, and May's almost full.
So let's see what we can do.
Wonderful.
I promise.
Yes. And then we could come back and talk all about it.
And
that
thank
would
you
be
for
great.
your service to our country.
Yes. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you.